I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it after? Where did all the right know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here. I think you'll have a great time here.
So, hello again and welcome to another episode of Quick Question with Soren and Daniel, the podcast where two best friends and comedy writers ask each other questions and give each other answers. I am one half of that duo, senior writer for Last Week Tonight with John Oliver, author of How to Fight Presidents, and excited boy of summer, Daniel O'Brien, joined as always by my co-host, Mr. Soren Bowie. Soren, say hello.
Hey everybody, I'm Soren Bowie. I'm a writer for American Dad. I can always tell when you're going to wing it. When you're going to wing the one that's going to be... That's not an insult, by the way. You're so good at it that I have to even acknowledge that I can tell when you're going to do it, because you do a really great job. And even when you're like on the... when you trust yourself to like catch yourself, you do. So in some ways, this is a big compliment, but also as your friend, I know when you're doing it.
Sure.
I can see the feet paddling under the water.
Thanks to ASPCA Pet Insurance for supporting Quick Question. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance Company or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance. It's like 80 degrees today, and I'm so stoked, and it's my day off as of this. We record on Mondays, and that's my day off. And I demanded we record as early as possible, which is like 9 a.m. your time. And I don't. It's just because my dumb child brain is like, it's nice outside, and what if it's never nice again? I need to go and soak up as much of it as possible.
Yeah, man. Carpe diem. Good for you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna carpe so much diem.
That's exciting.
Thanks,
Daniel, are you familiar with like how fruit? Sorry, you have a thing. Go ahead.
No, I don't.
Oh,
I was going to talk about the show Scrubs.
No, okay, I don't want to talk about that. Well, you may not want to talk about this. You're familiar with like the turnover of stone fruits each year, like when it's like seasonal for different fruits?
No, I understand that fruits and vegetables, yes, come in seasons.
Okay, but
I think the turnover of stone fruits, the specificity of that threw me a little bit.
Oh, so we're coming up on what I consider stone fruits to be the very best fruits, like peaches, nectarines, plums, apricots. Even I would include mango in that. I don't know if it actually is included, but I could throw a mango seed like a stone. And so,
why would you think I wouldn't want to talk about this?
I don't know. You've got weird dietary restrictions, and I'm not sure if you're into fruits or not. I get so pumped this time of year, specifically because we're just on the cusp of the very best fruit season of the year.
That's really exciting for you, man. No, I don't care. I don't eat a lot of fruits. I eat blueberries. I'll mix blueberries and things, and I'm a big strawberry guy. The fruit that I associate with the upcoming season is definitely watermelon. We always have a lot of watermelon in the home when it gets warmer out, and I make nice little summer salads of watermelon, cucumber, and dairy-free feta with a little bit of pepper.
Oh, okay, nice. Well, watermelon is like 98% water. You really could just be making your own watermelon at home, frankly.
Out of water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just some water and then some fibrous fruit.
Yeah. Well, let's stop talking about that. Soren, I get it now. I understand why people get married. It's starting to become clear to me because I was at my dentist last week. So already I'm having a fucking blast because I love the dentist. Yeah. And I told the whole like first 10 minutes of my twice a year checkup and cleaning is just talking. We just catch up. The dental assistant and I just chat. And so I told her that we are engaged, and she was very excited for us. She congratulated me. And then she was like, when is your wedding? And I told her when it is. She was like, week before the wedding, come back here, and your cleaning is on me. And this is what I'm fucking talking about, Soren. If you're planning a wedding, if you're paying for your own wedding specifically, groceries should be free. You shouldn't have to pay for anything else in the real world while you're focused on this thing. And the dentist is the only one in America who understands just how much stress we're under doing this. She's like, that's free teeth cleaning. Come on in.
She's gonna do it. Does that include the dentist as well, where the dentist comes in and pokes at it with one piece of metal and goes, good, and then leaves?
Yeah.
Oh my God. The whole thing.
I imagine she's actually probably keeping the dentist out of the financials of this.
Okay.
But like she walked me up to the receptionist when we were making my next appointment, and she was like, and what is the what code do we use when it's like a gift? And the receptionist was like, I got it, and she typed it in, and that means that I get a free. That's how their system knows not to charge me.
Oh my God.
I've never gotten a free thing from a medical professional in my entire. I don't think anyone has. I don't think that's what the system is based on.
Your timing couldn't be more perfect either, because that's 6 months, baby. Like that's like you should be getting a checkup anyway.
My only worry is that the hygienist, because she's so sweet, she's going to get in there and in my mouth and be like, it's his wedding, let's do something fun. And then she'll do like some weird change in my mouth to spice things up. Like sometimes
chiclet teeth.
Like a barber might do. Yeah.
Yeah. I put some caps on. I hope that you don't mind.
Just some gels. What? Did anyone, when you were planning your wedding, were there any unexpected perks along the way like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
We drove out to Colorado for my wedding, and we came out like 2 weeks early because we just wanted to be there, and like we were planning a wedding where we weren't. So like doing a destination wedding is tough, and we needed to meet everybody, like the wedding coordinator, make sure like the event space was what we wanted it to be, all this stuff. So we gave ourselves a big cushion, and on our way out there, we drove the whole way. We did it in one day, and in that night we got in at like 2, and I'm driving from, this is my hometown, between Glenwood Springs and Carbondale. As I'm driving, whoop, I get lit up. This cop is behind me and pulls us over, and we have a ton of shit in the back. We're also pretty young, so we don't have like real suitcases. It's just like stuff's in garbage bags and shit. And we're also bringing stuff for the wedding, umbrellas and things like that for the wedding. And he pulls us over. He's like, "You're going pretty fast." And I was like, "Yeah, I just got off the interstate, so like I'm used to going like, I go like 90. Don't quote me on that. But I go pretty fast on the interstate." And he's like, "All right, well, what's going on in your car?" And he's like, "Where are you coming from?" And I was like, "Oh, well, we're about to get married. Like, we're getting married here."
Are you still at this point driving like a 92 Corolla or something absurd?
It was a 96. Dan, give me some credit. A 96 Toyota Camry LE. That means limited edition.
All right.
Limited edition.
See. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't want to assume what he was thinking, but he did touch the windowsill. Like, what is this, leather? Like, he had that kind of look on his face. But I'm sure he knew Ellie. He's a cop. So we got pulled over, and we told the cop what was going on. He was like, okay. Can I have your license and registration? Gave it all to him. He went back to his car. And then he came back up and he was like, "Congratulations, guys," and just gave me my stuff back and left. And Excellent. I was like, yes! I'm telling from now on, anytime I get pulled over anywhere, I'm like, "We just got into town. We're getting married tomorrow. Please, can you help us?" Although that window's certainly closing for me now that I have like gray hair showing up in a car. Being like, "Oh, officer, you don't understand. We're young and we're getting married." It just doesn't have the same ring to it.
I do feel like you should get to walk around with some kind of safety vest or a sign that lets everyone know that you are in the middle of planning a wedding. Just so if there are any other little discount codes that get typed in at cash registers, they'd be like, oh yeah, give this one the wedding bonus. And I know people will take advantage of it. You just pitched the idea that you were going to do that. But just let me have it.
Right. You should absolutely have it. And also, I think maybe like the inroads that you built with your dentist or your hygienist this is like the payoff for that. So you did the work. You did the legwork for this. I wonder if this happens with pregnant women. Because it feels like
it does.
On par type of celebration. And that's a very easy one to spot. I wonder if people are just like, just give her groceries for free.
Yeah. I bet they don't.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think I've long lamented, I can't remember if I've talked about it on this podcast or a different one, in my lifetime, the amount of special reserved parking spaces in parking lots has grown astronomically out of control. And it includes, like, here's a spot. Growing up, it was just handicap spots, period. And now there's handicap. There is expectant mothers is one of them. Some parking lots have, like, family parking spots that are closer to your destination.
What?
Some of them have, like, if you're just going, there's, like, the 15-minute one. This is if you're going to pick up an already placed order. I've seen military parking. I've seen employee of the month parking. It's the kind of thing that I, as an unfortunately able-bodied white man, they're never going to have a spot for me. I'm never going to get the special treatment spot. But maybe if they add one more for expectant weddings.
you could have that glory.
I could finally
for 6 months.
get to Michael's quicker.
Well, speaking of you being an able-bodied gentleman, Daniel, I have a quick question for you. Do you mind if we start the show?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, we should.
Okay. I'm going to give you a hypothetical scenario. You're trapped in an elevator with 5 strangers. You don't know any of these people. Okay, so you can't predict
I know what
who
strangers
they are.
means.
Yeah, and the only way out of this elevator is that you have to demonstrate a skill that you are objectively better at than all 5 of these other people before you can leave. They all have to do the same thing, by the way, but like you need to find something that you just in general are better at than the average human being, and you think you could beat 5 people at it. And
this
it has
isn't
to
gonna
be
be-
Go ahead.
You're not going to trick me. If, for example, because these are strangers to me, but you're God in this situation, so you would know them. You're not going to trick me if I say the thing that I'm objectively the best at is riding a bike, and then you're like, guess what? One of them was Lance Armstrong. One of the strangers was Lance Armstrong. You're not going to.
No,
You're not here to trick
but neither
me.
of those things is going to happen because it has to be something that you can demonstrate in this elevator.
Right, I figured that. I just needed an example of a thing and a person who's better
Yeah.
at it than me.
Yes,
And there are
so
so
you need
few of
you need to be
those.
No, I won't trick you. These are just like people plucked. I closed my eyes as God and just plucked them out of
Yeah.
society and threw them in this elevator with you. So if you have one, yeah, obviously
I have
pull the trigger.
3.
Okay. Oh, great. Oh man,
Yeah,
you were
I have-
loaded.
well,
You're
yeah,
lousy
I
with
have a couple
skills.
because I don't. When I say I'm objectively better, I don't know that that's true with a pod of strangers. So I would say plank or push-ups.
Yeah.
And my confidence in being better than everyone else in the elevator at those 2 skills is my real skill is stubbornness. Is that if I need to, if I've already called my shot that I'm proving that I can do a plank, I can hold a plank longer than anyone in this elevator. I'm just gonna do it through sheer tyranny of will, or
Yeah.
push-ups. I'm just gonna I will say push-ups, and then they'll take the blindfold off, and I'll see there are maybe people who are clearly stronger than I am, or people who are carrying less weight than I am, making their push-ups easier, and I will still like look in the face of this indisputable proof and just be like, nope, I'm going to do the most push-ups in this elevator because I'm going to do it until I die. And I don't know if the rest of you are willing to do that, because that is how strong my stubborn gene is.
Stronger than your chest and triceps.
Yeah. Right.
What? Let's
and
say,
then at that point, if I lose, I'm dead, so who cares?
how?
Now, no one's getting off the elevator.
How many push-ups do you think you could do in a row? Like, if you really
100.
had to. Huh?
100.
You could do 100 in a row?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a lot. Are you stopping?
Yes, I will stop and like probably, if this still counts, I will retreat to down-facing dog, which is a yoga pose where
no knees
I'm
on
just,
the
like,
ground
sort of-
though. I get it.
Yeah, no knees on the ground. No, my feet and hands are constantly touching the ground. I'm just shifting backwards into down dog to redistribute some of the weight for a little while.
Yeah. Mine is also strength based. But it's like the type of strength that like my body is uniquely suited for. I'm gonna stem. I'm stemming in that elevator. Do you know what stemming is? I am holding one side with my hands.
Education mathematics.
I'm holding one with my hands on one side, my feet on the other, on a wall, and I'm up in the air. I'm up in the air with.
I've been doing that my whole
basically.
life. I didn't know that was called a thing.
Yeah, that's called stemming. You can do it in climbing and stuff. You do it, but usually it's your legs. It's like you have one leg planted on one. If you're in a crack or something like that, you have one leg planted on one wall, the other leg on the other. But yeah, I would stem, and I think I could kick everyone's ass in that elevator at stemming just because of
I think that's fair.
how I'm built.
I think that's crazy that I've been doing stemming my whole life, just in like door frames and like narrow hallways. It was just a thing that my brothers and I all, as soon as you see that thing looks climbable, I'm going to climb it. That was just like our way about things. And when I first moved to LA and was making videos with Michael Swaim and Abe Epperson, I would do that, and then they would work it into scripts of the things that we were shooting, because this was before they had known you very well. I think because they grew up so tightly in like theater and film world, the both of them, that just me with my limited skill doing acts of physicality, they see me like stemming up a wall and they're like, holy shit, he's doing parkour. And they were just so impressed
Yes.
with this basic function of gravity.
Before I worked at Cracked, I did eHow videos, and I would do like how-to videos, and I was like, oh, I know this great spot where I can teach somebody to stem like up a building, basically. So I would do a video of it. I set up the video camera, and I found this place where there was like a slot that was maybe like 5 feet wide, maybe 6 feet, and like got in there and just started climbing it, and was set up far enough away that I could see how far I could go, and started climbing it, and just kept going. And then I was like, oh, I didn't have a plan for the end of this. I don't know, like, once I get to the top, I'm not totally confident that I could just climb onto the roof from a stem position, because you have to put so much pressure on both your feet and your hands to like let go with one to like grab onto a roof or something. So I was like, shit. And then I got to the top and I was like, I've never tried stemming down before, like walking down a wall, because why would I just jump from wherever I am? And now I'm like 2 stories in the air and there's a camera on me. And the thought certainly crossed my mind that I was like, I'm about to film my own death. Like, someone's going to find me, and then they're going to find the camera. Be like, I think this was intentional.
Detectives trying to piece it together.
And so I stemmed down so slowly and, like, terrified the whole way.
Yeah.
And the thing your body does when it's scared in a situation like that is like, hey, you know what you need is a lot of palm sweat. You need to... You need to get slippery, buddy, because that's the only way to solve the situation. I'm like, no. I think I'm right. I think
we're not sliding out of this one, guys.
And so I like slowly went down this wall, and then at the end I was like, that was horrifying. And then I watched the video, and I was like, nah, I'm going to use all of it. I'm using all of this. The whole thing is great. Going down looks so intentional. This is great. This came out great.
I look so dry up there. The other, I think my other suggestion, if I did, if there was no blindfold in the scenario, even though you never said there was one in the beginning, but I see everyone else in the elevator, and if I could tell, like, okay, there are some world-class athletes here, I'm not going to outplank or push up any of them. My next bet would have been, I can name all of the presidents, not in order, faster than anyone else in the elevator, just because I don't name them particularly quickly. I'm sure there are people who have, like, developed systems where they have, like, a rhyme or a song where they can, like, really, like, get them out in, I don't know, 20 seconds or whatever it is. I don't have that. I just know them all. And I think that's the kind of thing, if God has plucked 5 random people and dropped them in an elevator, it's still a gamble, but it's a relatively smart gamble that I'm not going to be plucked with people who can, at the ready, recite all of the presidents. That's just
the
a
fact
thing
that you can do it out of order is insane. Like, that's psychotic, because that's the whole way people remember it, is in order. So
I think I just start in order, and then when I lose order, then my move becomes the doubles. I get up to Jackson or so, and then I start going, okay, Bush, Roosevelt, Johnson, Harrison, and then I jump around a little bit from there, but
That's wild. That's like if somebody was like, hey, give me all the letters in the alphabet, but do it out of order. I'd be like, I can't.
Yeah.
There's no way I would get them all.
Drop the elevator.
So out of order presidents, I think, would work.
Yeah. There's certainly a chance that I would be in that elevator with some 13-year-old whiz kid who was like, I had to memorize the presidents for a class, and they just knocked me out of the park. But in general, I think you wouldn't get 100% batting average if you stopped people on the street and asked the average Joe to name all of the presidents in history, period.
No.
So I feel like I've got a pretty good lead on people, because between the 2 books about presidents that I wrote, How to Fight Presidents and Your Presidential Fantasy Dream Team, between that and just like a lifetime of researching presidents, I am steeped in presidential stuff. It was also a thing before I would run with music. I would just, like, say the names of presidents while I was running as a thing to, like, clear my mind and distract
it's your
me
mantra. Your mantra was U.S. presidents.
It's a long mantra. You can only get through, like, 2 mantras in the meditation system. I love my dog. I talk about him a lot. He just turned 12 last month. He's getting, just like his papa, he's getting some white hairs where they used to be lush and youthful and brown and powerful and strong. But he's still got the heart and the brain of a puppy, and I love him so much. I spend every day thinking about him. Your pet, like mine, is one of a kind, and so is their journey. While every playful moment is a memory in the making, sometimes our cats and dogs are a little too good at getting into trouble. That's why you should check out ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. Imagine this. You're at the vet's office again. You got a vial of your dog's poop, maybe. Knowing that the vet care costs continue to rise, you're anxiously waiting to hear how expensive the bill will be. How much is it going to cost for them to look at poop? But if you had pet insurance, your pet could be covered for accidents or illnesses. That's why you should check out ASPCA Pet Health Insurance. The ASPCA Health Insurance Program offers customizable accident and illness plans, making it easier for pet parents like you to help your pet get the care they may need. The ASPCA Pet Health Insurance Program has been around for 18 years, and they've helped more than 600,000 pets during that time. They allow you to customize your plan, helping ensure that your pet's plan is as unique as they are. Because vet bills can really add up, especially when you're least expecting it. It's simple. Use their app to submit a claim, and you'll receive reimbursement for eligible vet bills directly into your bank account. To explore coverage, visit aspcapetinsurance.com/question. That's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. Again, that's aspcapetinsurance.com/question. This is a paid advertisement. Insurance is underwritten by either Independence American Insurance or United States Fire Insurance Company and produced by PTZ Insurance Agency Limited. The ASPCA is not an insurer and is not engaged in the business of insurance.
I have one for you that I thought immediately when I came up with this question. I was like, this should be Daniel's. Do you want to know what it is?
So, I wish I could guess it. What do you think I'm better at than everybody?
This is also something that's not verifiable with like the internet.
Soren.
Yeah, you're gonna fuck everyone in the elevator.
Outfuck this elevator.
Listen up, everyone. This one's gonna be a little different than the last one. Sit-ups was cool, but I need everyone to take off their clothes. Oh, I wish we'd done sit-ups first. Everybody's very sweaty. I have. So let me just say quickly. I have one for you. I think that the president's one is good, but I also think that that's an easy one. If you still like everything else in the world still exists, you have your phone. That gets a lot tougher because the people are just going to be like, "Oh, I get service in this elevator. Here are all the presidents." Oh. There's something that you like an intangible skill, something that can't be quantified by the internet that you have. I could be helped by the internet, but you can't do it on the internet. You can, and I don't think anyone else does it as fast as you.
Is it naming characters and naming actors in movies?
Pretty much. There's a game associated with that.
Oh, a movie game?
Kevin Bacon game. 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Oh, 6
you
Degrees
could
of Kevin Bacon.
Absolutely wreck everyone at 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And you have. I've seen you do it in the past, where it's like, it's not even a fun game for you. Like, people will be like, let's play this. And I can see it on your face. You're like, okay. Yeah. And then we start, and like you have it immediately, and you answer with movie Quicksilver, like movies people have not seen. You're like, Lawrence Fishburne was in Quicksilver. We would. That's my impression of you.
We would play not 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, but we would play just the generic movie game where a person names a movie or an actor. Let's say a movie, and then the next person has to say an actor that was in that movie, and then the next person has to say another movie that actor was in, and you just build that chain, and it goes on and on and on. No repeating movies or actors or sequels. And that was a game that I have played so much, especially when I was younger, and was like genuinely not fun to play with, I was told by other people, because it's like the way I'm sure some chess masters are complete assholes. I was an asshole with that game where I would play and it would go as long as I wanted. And then I knew a couple of moves where I could get people completely out of their comfort zone. And it was really just like when I was like, my car's almost here. All right, Mars Attacks, here we go. And then I just knew like what people, you can predict what someone's going to say based on the movie, and then like get them to a place where you know they will be lost forever, which is... shitty. It's not fun. That's why no one likes playing chess. I bring up Mars. I bring up Mars Attacks just because my fiance and I watched that recently, as you do as adults. And
Lucas Haas, Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
that's all I can do.
That was. She doesn't watch a ton of movies, and she just doesn't have the memory for actors because. Why would you? It's just not important information.
Useless.
To her. We're watching that movie, and she's like, "Who is that person?" I'm like, "Oh, why? That's Annette Bening. Oh, that's young Jack Black. You can barely recognize him." And just like pointing out, and there's a million people in this movie, so it's easy. And at one point, Jack Black and Lucas Haas's father is on screen, and she goes, "Now who's that guy?" I go, "Why, that's Joe Don Baker," which is a name that no one is supposed to know, and I'm looking to her like be proud of me for knowing this. And A, she's not proud of most of the things that I do. B, this is not on paper an impressive thing to anyone. And C, because she's just not concerned with memorizing actors and names and stuff, knowing Joe Don Baker is the same as knowing Annette Bening and Pierce Brosnan in her mind. Like there's it's all the same bucket of like weird stuff that Daniel knows. And we're just like, but you don't understand. For me to know who Joe Don Baker was, there's so much of my life needed to be different to get here.
That's when my daughter was younger, which was like 2, and I would do magic for her. It was such a waste because like everything is magic to her. So it's like I would do a really great magic trick, like great sleight of hand, And she'd be like, yeah, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty crazy right now. That's not any more particular.
The day we got engaged, we went to this nice martini bar first, her parents and the two of us. And this is like a very cool, fancy martini bar. And they have a guy. He's dressed in a full suit, and he is 100 years old. He looks like some strange Vegas staple. Just a guy who is like not necessarily a manager, not a waiter, but like will walk around a club or a restaurant and like ask you how you're doing, and he has good recommendations. Just like the kind of position in restaurants that doesn't really exist anymore, of just like this weird concierge person who just like walks around and is fancy. And her parents knew him as someone who like would run trivia every once in a while. He wasn't doing it this day. He was just like walking around checking on tables, and they like signaled him over, and they were like, "You're not doing trivia. Where's the trivia?" He's like, "Oh, we're not doing it right now." And like, but this guy Daniel, he knows things. He knows movie trivia. So just like get him. And I'm so nervous because this guy is again like a million years old, and my bona fides have just been put on the table as far as like, this is a guy who knows everything, knows all movie trivia. And the guy's like, all right, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 things that describe an actor, and you got to guess who the actor is. And I don't remember exactly what the descriptors were. One of them was about not having like a conventionally handsome face for a movie star. It was an actor who was very active in the 70s and launched some kind of soft franchise. Like there was a number of sequels, and that was it. And already I'm thinking like 70s is not my wheelhouse for movies. Yeah. It's a great decade of films that I just mostly skipped, and there's pressure, and everyone's looking at me, and I go, it's not Charles Brosnan. And the guy goes, got it in one. It is. And I was like, how? I haven't seen any of his movies. It's just one of those things that's just like, yeah, because my brain is the specific version of broken that it is, that I just absorb information, and I can trace a line from knowing that answer to a joke on The Critic that I saw in 1998 or something absurd like that. And my brain filed away, this guy is from Death Wish, Charles Bronson, not a good face. And my brain was like, here is when we needed that information. It was here on the day you're going to propose to your future wife. You needed this first, you needed to get one answer correct before you asked the bigger question later.
Yeah. Your weird Slumdog Millionaire life.
I know. It was just so bonkers. And like the same with a low-level magic trick or memorizing the name Joe Don Baker. I get the answer right, and she's like, yeah, of course he was going to get it right. And I was like,
you have no idea.
There was never a guarantee.
I'm sure you're already getting a lot of this because you've been in a relationship for a while, but when you're married, this kind of thing where like you live in different worlds, essentially. Like your careers are completely different trajectories, and so you have closed doors on a lot of things in your life that you've just decided are obsolete or unnecessary for you to know, and so has she. And so you're gonna have like some really, really outstanding puns or like really good jokes that are like Frasier type jokes, but specifically about pop culture between 1990 and 2010, and like they're gonna be awesome, and like. You're going to get to it. You're going to get to the punchline. And she's just going to be like, so what did you want for dinner? Like, everything, things will just die on the floor. Like, things that could have been on television will just die on the floor. And you got to be like, I want to explain this to you, but I know you don't dissect the bird to find the song. So I'm just not going to, we're just going to move on.
I have more than a few times I had said something and she had accepted like the facts in the sentence and moved on with that information, and I will just quietly under my breath go, that was such a good joke. Just like mourning the
loss.
silent death.
Because I know that you have a lot of these. I know we would have editorial meetings at Cracked, and you would do a joke like that, and then you would do this face like waiting for everybody. You would be like, you do it, and then you go, please, please. Like, did you all catch? Did you see how cute I am? Did you see what I just did there?
And that was rough because the peak crack.com office conference room, that if anyone was going to appreciate my specific mental illness, it's that room. That's where I'm going to find my people. And if something didn't land, if my name dropping of Pino Palladino and leaning in, no one picked up on it. If it didn't land there, then it's not going to land anywhere. It's just not designed for people.
God, there was one, it was a Star Wars day. It was a fucking Star Wars day. And we were talking about, maybe we were naming stuff, and we were trying to name Star Wars stuff after songs, and you stop for a minute, and like, wasn't even that, a minute's even way too long. Like, you stop for like 2 seconds, then you're like, Wookiee for Love in Alderaan Places. And we were like, oh my God, yeah. Because everyone else would have stopped at Wookiee for Love. They would have been like, there it is. I got it.
Not everyone else is this broken.
Anyway, so yeah, you're going to do Find This Elevator Game. I originally, when I conceived of this, my saw trap, that I was like, surely there's something mental that I could do. And I was like, I was stopped for a long time, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do some active physical strength. I think that the mental acuity, I don't really shine in any particular area. I'm gonna leave that one alone. The only thing I could have foreseen actually doing it was when my wife and I first started dating. When she was like going to sleep, I would do this thing where you're trying to like prove that you're better than you actually are. Like, you're trying to be you on your very best day. I would do this thing where there'd be like a big long word, like quixotic, and I would come up with a story of like how to remember that word. So I would do like I would have like a whole story that would go through, and then by the end, you can understand the character in the story, like him, let's say his name is Dick, like Quicksaw Dick. Like, there's a reason why he becomes that. Like, you get to the name of that word as like, if he's like, he saws really fast or whatever it is, and like that's the only thing that he's really good at, like that he's singly minded about it. Like, then by the end, you've got the word, and you've got also like a way to remember it. And so I would write these in the moment, and like, you know, some of them obviously aren't home runs, but when I would do it, I was like, fuck yeah, that's so good. And then later on in life, she had to take her GREs, and in the GREs there's a whole section on vocab, and she was like, will you do these for a lot of these words? And I was like, no, like, we're together now. like I don't have anything to prove anymore. That was super hard, that thing that I was doing. That was pretty amazing that it ever worked out. I was impressed with myself a couple of times.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that anymore. I think that, and then with
the
my
days
child,
of doling out minor miracles are behind me.
And then when Ronan was born and he got old enough that he could hear stories and was still interested in hearing stories from me, I would make up a story at night. And when I would make up the story, I'd try to make sure that it had like a clear conflict and an arc to it, and then also that there was some sort of moral at the end of it that would be applicable to somebody his age. And when that also worked out, I was like, man, I just like, the muse just spoke to me. Like, that was amazing. And I just don't think, I don't know. Like, if I can make that happen in the elevator, I think I could get out. But, you know, they're not all winners, obviously.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, you get in the middle of a story, just like you would with, like, breaking a real story, and you'd be like, oh, no, fuck, let me go back to the first act.
Yeah.
This is going to be better.
Maybe I would. So when my rock and roll band, first Lunch Money Criminals, first, do we have a clip? And then we'll put a clip in there. When we first started playing years ago, like, we booked a gig before we were ready to book a gig, where it was specifically like we were booked for an hour, and we didn't, as a collective, know that many songs. We didn't know an hour's worth of songs, which is a tall order for most bands. Certainly tough, close to impossible for a band that has never played a gig before. And we ended up scrapping together a few things, just like covers here and there. We encored, because they demanded an encore. We encored with a song that we had never played together before, that we all just kind of knew and really fucked our way through it. And there were a few, we ate up some delicious time with my brother Tommy, the piano player, just playing a couple of solo piano tunes. Yeah. And one of the things that we worked on that we eventually scrapped, but we did it in rehearsal a lot, was just like, let's learn some very simple music that we all know, and as a bass, simple verse tune, chorus tune, etc., and have Daniel improvise lyrics, and they would like improvise harmonies around me. Like we had a couple of tricks to work out where the chorus was going to go and what other voices could come in on the chorus, but it was just, we were sitting around, the four of us at the time in the band, and because the conceit of it would be, get someone in the audience, ask them what their name is, what their job is, or what they want their job to be in the future, and one or two other details about them. And the way we practiced this was, my brothers or Frank, the other guy in the band, would just say like, Brittany wants to be a veterinarian, third detail, go. And then I would just improvise lyrics to songs that would rhyme and be funny. And it was another like low-level miracle at the time, where they would like, a complete song would be done, and they'd be like, all right, yeah, okay, great, so we got that, let's try another one. Let's try Jennifer Doctor Hates Mondays, and just like invent another song, another like strange magic trick that I might try to pull off in the elevator.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were, I didn't realize that Lunch Money Criminals was also an improv group.
We weren't. We scrapped that before actually ever having to do it. I think because the concern was like, what if someone in the audience has a really stupid name, or what if I choke on the day? But
I guess all possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be actually really fun to start one of these things in the elevator and be like, okay, I'm going to write a song. What's your name? Okay, great. All right, I'm going to write a song about him. And then like in the middle of it, be like, no, somebody else go. I'm going to pass for now. I changed mine. I'm changing mine.
What do you like to do? You like to golf? Is there any chance you like to swim? Because there are just a lot more rhymes for swim than golf. You don't swim at all. Okay. Do you like the jungle gym? I'm just trying to steer you somewhere comfortable for me. Can I ask a quick question? Did you, I don't need to tell everyone how the sausage gets made on this podcast, but we don't spend too much time thinking about it. Usually episode ideas get generated based on something that happens in our lives. Did something happen to you in an elevator recently to make you think of this? Or were you genuinely just like thinking about the podcast in your downtime?
I thought about the podcast. I actually came up with a bunch of would you rathers as well for you that we can do at some point. Yeah, and no, okay. I'll let me delete them from my phone.
Please do.
Just kidding. I don't write my phone. I have a notebook. Yeah, I just was thinking about the podcast. I was actually at the gym, and I was like, what is the thing that I can do better than anyone else at this gym? Did you ask me that at some point?
No, I don't. But I mean, this I could work with. Soren at the gym. There he is. It's him. Let's go. That falls apart. I'm done.
Well, yeah, I didn't need to swim as much as I thought I did.
Turns out, yeah.
Yeah, I was at the gym and I was like, is there something I could do here that I know that I could do better than anybody else? And determined pretty quick, no.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, that's an interesting question for your everyday life. Like, what is the thing that you can you're pretty confident you do better than like 90% of the population. And I think everybody's probably got a thing.
Yeah. I don't often think about what am I better at than everybody, but there are times like when I'm at self-checkout line and I'm watching everybody else in front of me and how they behave, and I see the line behind me and everyone is mad because self-checkout is such a horrible burden that no one asked for, that we're now stuck with forever, I guess. But as I sit there online, instead of being mad at how slow and befuddled everyone is, I'm just sitting there thinking, man, the people behind me are gonna fucking love me. The
How fast
employees who are monitoring, they're gonna be like, this guy's the best. Look, he knows where all the barcodes are. He's moving so fast. His card's already out. And of course, no one's gonna be paying that close attention to me. But that's a situation. There are situations like that where I just think, I'm gonna do this thing better than everybody in here right now.
I feel that way a lot. In fact, the day that I realized at self-checkout that you could put your card in before it asked for card and get skip a bunch of those steps, because you ordinarily it's like, go to pay. You push the pay button. Now you move over to the machine. The machine asks like, what kind of card do you want to use? Like all that stuff. You can skip all of that. Just like as you're like doing your groceries, if you also put your card in and then take it back out, like it just waits. And then as soon as you're done doing stuff, it's just like, and now here's your receipt. And I shaved like 5 seconds off my PR.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very important to me as well. I was thinking about, Daniel, your song creation thing. I think that's true of most musicians, that they can do something like that, or maybe not all, but like really good musicians.
I mean, I talk about making up lyrics that rhyme as if that's an actual miracle.
Well, it looks like magic to me.
My brother's ability to just like to like write a tune out of nothing, or give him any song that exists in the world and say, now can you make like a sweet, slowed down romantic version of this song on piano, or now could you make like sort of it's a trend in movie trailers where we're doing slowed down creepy versions of pop tunes. Can you do that? And he can just do that, and in a way that I've certainly taken for granted in my life, just because it's his magic trick that he can just do, that I ignore how impressive it is, because it's just like, he does that. I fed the machine a prompt and it gave me back the thing I wanted. Otherwise that's a bad machine.
Creating a unique cover on the fly also just seems like magic to me, like that he can do that and be like, now like a creepy version of this song. But like, I know that the only reason I know musicians can do that is because like the story of how Mess Around got written by Ray Charles. Mm-hmm. Do you know the story of that? No. Huh? Oh, no. Well, if Ray is to be believed, and I obviously take that as greatest historical accuracy fiction, he didn't. They're just gonna they're like, play another song, and he's like, all right, and he just made up Mess Around on the spot and like got them to do the harmonies and stuff, and like just started coming up with the lyrics and wrote this one of the catchiest, greatest like dance songs, just on the spot. Just did it.
I mean, it's not that complicated of a song.
Probably not, but it sounds so good.
I always feel that in the Johnny Cash biopic, the Joaquin Phoenix movie, Walk the Line, when they're in the studio and they're playing a bunch of gospel tunes, and the engineer is like, gospel doesn't sell and you're not good, you got to give me something else. And Johnny Cash is like, well, I've been working on this tune, one of my own songs. And he does that Hear the Train Coming blues song that he does. And like the rest of the musicians have never heard this, they've never practiced it before, and he's just like, just follow along, it's in F or whatever key it's in. And they play, including like the guitarist does a guitar solo in the middle of the song when they need to fill time, and it's treated as this like grand magical, like, oh my god, this is lightning in a bottle. But I'm watching it at home and like, pretty shit guitar solo. I know he's making it up on the spot, but it's pretty bad. I've heard better made up guitar solos.
Tim Robinson knows how the average person feels about this, because like the Skeletons the skeleton bones are their money too. Like all like
Yeah.
that whole sketch is based on
It's-
how I would react to that situation.
Right. It's tough when you know, like when we're in the
Somebody
future,
who's
so
not
we
magic.
know Johnny Cash was big, and we know that I guess nothing was sounding like he was sounding, where he's talking about shooting people down and cocaine with like this a backing of a bastardized version of gospel music. We know because of history that it was scary and new and unique, but because we're watching it in the present, and he does these like, I hear the train a coming, it's coming down the line, and the record producer's like, wait a minute, what did you just fucking say? That is so good. Oh my god. Can we get it again? Do you remember it? And as like a person in the future who has heard like really scary things, just like this is like nursery rhyme shit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I was impressed in Rocket Man too, because I don't know how to write any sort of music on an actual instrument. That in Rocket Man, he like walks into a room after just waking up in his bathrobe, and his songwriter is like, "Here, this is a poem I wrote called Your Song," and he's like, "Okay," and he sits down at the piano and writes the most beautiful, melodious tune to Your Song, and everyone in the room stops and freezes, and I'm like, I'm so far from that in my everyday life. There's no way I could even conceive of what a song would sound like until I hear notes being played. Like, he just did it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
It's
why
always-
Rocket Man's my very favorite movie of all time.
It drives me a little bonkers when you hear, like in one of the Beatles documentaries, where it's like, oh yeah, originally the tune for Hey Jude was like this, and then we scrapped that tune and found this other tune. There's never anyone in any of these biopics that are just like, well, like keep the other tune also. It doesn't need to be the music for Hey Jude, but like I don't know why the musicians, like songwriters, don't seem to be as panicked as I am as my kind of writing. Like anytime I write, I work on a pilot or an idea that doesn't quite work. Nothing gets scrapped entirely. I wrote a pilot and my friends who read it were like, this is great, but you don't need this character, Denise. I was like, that's great. Then I'm going to take Denise and I'm going to put her in her own story because like the ideas might go away at some point. Like, why are songwriters not as panicked as I am? They're like, well, let's just keep everything, because this doesn't work now, but if it's tomorrow and I suddenly can't write tunes anymore, I'll be glad that I saved this garbage tune from before.
I don't get it either. I don't think all writers are like that either. Because like SNL, you hear stories about them. They're like, a story doesn't make it that week. Or I mean, a sketch doesn't make it that week. And they're just like, okay, kill it forever. Like if you tried to bring that up again, everyone would be like, what are you doing? We wrote that 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't understand why everyone's not like scrapping for parts all the time, because that's all I do when I write is like, I will write. And then if there's like a piece that's not needed, I'm like, well, great. I don't know where it goes yet, but I will MacGyver that in somewhere else. I have in my head this like just an Ace Hardware store full of shit that didn't work, but at some point it might.
Yeah, I can't throw anything out. You got to keep hanging on to everything. And eventually, I'm sure my bosses will, a few years from now, catch on to the fact that, like, hey, every joke you pitch has been a joke that we rejected 6 years ago. Every single one of these jokes, we've seen a version of them. And I'm like, yeah, you caught me, I'm out. I didn't think you were paying that close attention. Some of these jokes are like rejected ideas for cracked articles. I'm sure you saw that too. One of them's a song about a girl named Becky who's a veterinarian.
It does come back and bite me when I'm like doing jokes for American Dad and we're just like in the joke room and I pitch something that's even in like the same wheelhouse as a thing I already pitched. Like that people are like, why are you so obsessed with this? And I'm like, oh no, it's just this one joke that I'm still trying to get out there that I think is good and I don't know where it fits yet.
Yeah. I'm grateful that I have bosses that let me repitch jokes from years ago.
Nice.
Because our joke pitching is I don't want to say it's purely a volume game, because it's still quality that they're going to pick, but you do want to sort of overwhelm them with joke options, and that's the kind of environment that is good for me, because you're like, well, I wrote this joke about Mrs. Met's ass 3 years ago, and you weren't ready for it then, but maybe now. In this piece about cyberbullying.
Yeah, just before my time. Everyone's gonna love it now. I went through, so I still use Facebook, as you know. It's basically where I watch television and I get to flip through channels. And when I go on Facebook, it always gives me those like memories. Like, do you remember on this day 8 years ago or whatever? And what we used to do with Facebook is we would just put up statuses. Like you just put up like a status message. And I'm getting served up a lot of those lately. And holy hell, Dan, they suck so hard. Their humor was just different, I want to assume, and that I wasn't just this bad. But like, there's some real confidence behind these things that I'm saying, and I'm like, no, I think I get this whole joke, and this joke sucks. Like, it's just not good. They were just awful, like god awful. And then it made me think, like, I know that I have all these old journals and things like that sitting around, and those journals were always written. This sounds so egotistical. They were like written to be seen, basically. Like I was kind of working shit out, but I was working it out publicly, essentially. Like I was like writing something and thinking at the same time, like when someone finds this, or like when I read this again when I'm older, I'm going to be really charmed by like how I was kind of just like figuring stuff out back then. Mm-hmm. Like it's that, I already had a vision for what the journal was going to be. And now, like I can't even peek at that old shit because it's so horribly embarrassing.
It's a strange, I know I said I hoard all of my ideas forever because I might reuse them, but it's a strange relationship that I have with all of my notebooks because I've just filled so many notebooks with drafts of articles and like short stories and just random snippets of ideas. All of my writing lives in these notebooks, and they have traveled with me through all of my many moves. I am going to keep them forever. I wouldn't dare throw them out. I also wouldn't ever dare look at them because they're not good and there's no way they're useful to me. And here's the crucial part that is confusing even to me, this guy. When I die, I want them destroyed. I'm not keeping them around for someone for like future generations to figure out what I was like and to see my process evolve, which is the only reason to keep stuff like that around is so it can be read afterwards and be clues to the mystery that is me. But I don't want that either. I don't want to use them. I don't want anyone to use them. I cannot throw them out. These things are difficult to reconcile with each other.
That's exactly how I feel about them as well. I don't want another. And when I was writing them, I thought I did. I thought I wanted somebody else to find it. I was like, oh yeah, Kurt Cobain's notebook. What a treasure that was when we found it.
Right. People are going to see this and realize, oh my God, can you believe this is the early draft of the book he wrote that we all love and is good. Right. No one is going to, that's not going to bear any fruit.
No one's going to do that. And it's also, it's not even like, there's nothing earnest about what's in that fucking notebook. Like I'm writing, and that's like the only beneficial thing that I'm doing. Everything else is so performative in it that it's humiliating.
I think people would also find in mine like just way too many pointless doodles. That also exists in all of mine. And if someone was trying to figure out if I disappeared from this earth and they were looking for clues in my notebooks, be like, does this mean anything? There's one page that's like a drawing of R2-D2 and some old man in a coat. What do we think this means? And that's when I would like to pop in from wherever I am and be like, well, I wanted to see if I could draw R2-D2 from memory, and that guy next to him is the astronomy professor that I was looking at in class. He's probably dead now. That's a dead end. Don't look into that. I was just looking around the room and drawing what I saw.
Yeah. But yeah, for a while I was drawing a Dragon Ball Z character and had never watched Dragon Ball Z, but I just like saw this guy and I thought he looked kind of cool.
Their hair is fun to draw off, and there's a lot of sharp lines in Dragon Ball Z that's very satisfying.
At the time I didn't even know what it was from. I was like drawing it and people were like, oh, that's Goku or whoever, and I was like, it's who? No, I drew this. No,
this is just a bunch of triangles. Get out of here. Well, that about wraps it up, right?
That'll do it. You've been listening to...
Oh, God, it's so long.
Quick question with Soren and Daniel, but you already knew that. You can find us both on Blue Sky. I don't know if, Daniel, you back on X yet?
I pop in once a month just to reactivate my account to make sure it doesn't get deleted forever, and then I quickly deactivate it. When I spend like truly 3 minutes on X and it immediately bums me out and makes my mood worse, then I remember that I don't need it and don't like it.
Yeah. Great. Okay, well, look, you can't find us there. You can find us on Blue Sky. You can also email the show at qqwithsorenanddaniel@gmail.com. We have an Instagram.
Are you like fully out of X too?
I'm out of X, yeah. I went
Like
back
you're-
once
like
just to
you're-
go find a private message and saw that somebody else had private messaged me, but other than that, I haven't like been on it.
Are you doing what I'm doing, where you will just occasionally reactivate it to make sure you don't lose your followers forever?
No, not intentionally. I mean, I went back to get private messages, but I think I didn't even know that was a possibility. I think I'd be fine with that. In fact, I think that might be best if I'm not allowed to use it anymore. Instagram is QQ, Soren and Daniel. We have a Patreon, which is Patreon/Quick Question, where we do bonus episodes along with bonus video that you get to see of us. Just looking our best. We have a YouTube, which you can also watch video of us there, youtube.com/@QQ podcast. All of these podcasts have a video accompaniment if you would like to watch that. And lastly, our theme song is by, two things. Our theme song is by Mirex. You can find their music on Spotify or iTunes. You can also go to mirex.bandcamp.com for full albums. And our producer, our sound engineer, our editor, who always deserves a mention because he runs this entire show and he's great, Gabe Harder. Ooh. Don't try to find him in the world. Bye.
Bye.
I've got a quick question for you, alright? I wanna hear your thoughts, I wanna know what's on your mind. I've got a quick question for you, alright? The answer's not important, I'm just glad that we could talk tonight. So what's your favourite? How did you get? When will I be remembered? Was it ever? Where did all the right know? Oh, forget it. Soren, Bowie, Daniel O'Brien, two best friends and comedy writers. If there's an answer, they're gonna find it. I think you'll have a great time here.